Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company. Today, we have with us Rochelle Burnett with the Burnett Team over at Keller Williams, and Rachel Flint, our SVP of Iowa Homebuilding, Land Development, and HRC Association Management.
Hey, thanks, Claire. Good to be back.
Love having you guys on here, and welcome. First time podcasting, first time here with us. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Well, can you just introduce yourselves a little bit, Rachel? Some people listening or watching, have seen you on here, probably know you a little bit of background on you. And Rochelle, we want to know more about you as well. I just tried to merge Rochelle and Rachel as names.
I get called Rachel.
I get called Rochelle a lot.
We'll see how many times I do it today. But Rochelle, tell us a little bit about you and what you do over at Keller Williams.
Yeah, I lead a team of 6 amazing women called the Burnett Team. We do about $30 million in sales, which is around 100 homes every year. I do a lot of teaching for the Iowa Association of Realtors as well. And for fun, I own a speakeasy in Winterset that's only open every once in a while. But I stay pretty busy that way.
I love that very much. One, women team.
Yes.
Love that very much. Also just saw the speakeasy, I think, in a post recently, and I sent it to my husband and said, hey, we should go here because we love Winterset. So
I think it'd be a nice little team event.
We can do that.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
A little outing. Rachel?
Yes, Rachel Flint with Hubbell Realty Company. I've been at the company, this is going to be my 21st year, so I've been here quite a while, done many things. And, I jokingly say Rochelle and I grew up together because about 20 years ago, we first got introduced in the real estate business, and we've worked together off and on ever since. And now she's my instructor for my real estate license.
Well, and it's been fun because you've worked your way up. I don't even think you were marketing director yet when I met you.
Public relations assistant.
There you go. Okay.
Public
so,
relations.
yeah, we were quite young.
Yeah.
And I was in marketing and you were in marketing, and that's kind of how we knew each other, and now we've both taken on very different roles.
Was it Leapfrog? Was that the name?
Creative Leap.
Creative Leap.
Yeah.
I knew there was a
Leapfrog
frog.
was like my little, what do you call him? Mascot.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
I love that. Yeah. Good times.
I know.
Well, we're here today to talk about a lot of things, honestly. A lot of real estate, housing related topics, from builder incentives to 55 plus to just general market. So where do you guys want to start? Should we start general market just to see, from the shifts in the real estate compensation to all the way to just kind of a general housing update? Where do you want to go?
Well, I want to start here because Rochelle and I, I took a real estate class with her, the law update class, which had I known I'd have to take it again the very next year because of the changes that were coming.
Yes.
I probably wouldn't have done it, but it was still good. I learned a few things, so it was good for me. But Rochelle and I got to talking, and in that class, we talk about builder incentives, and builder incentives can vary. Just for everybody out there, a builder incentive is like, if you've got all these houses, so maybe you're offering, like we are right now, a 3-2-1 buy down option, or a 5-1 arm, or any special promotion. There are some builders in the market who are offering additional compensation. I'm not going to give the amount, but additional compensation to realtors. And from your Iowa Association of Realtors class that you were teaching in the law update, kind of talk about that and what you're seeing for that, because there are a lot of rules for buyer agent compensation. Yeah. So lead us into that.
The law changed significantly last year when we as realtors had to start having a loyalty and compensation contract done with our clients prior to walking them in any home. So my team was doing that anyway. I've been doing it for about 10 years, where we do have a contract that we set up with our buyer prior to entering any home. This one specifically talks about loyalty and compensation. So that compensation conversation has to happen prior to you showing someone a home. So you kind of have to set that expectation on, look, this is what I would like to be paid as your realtor. So yes, then they're kind of going off of what was said in this class. There are builders, and builders always have somewhat offered maybe a little extra income or a $1,000 bonus, for a realtor here and there. And I think that made total sense at the time. It was a good reason for your people to call my people, is what I think. It's not like it maybe pushed us to sell that home. However, it was just a reason for your people to call my people and go, hey, have you checked out the Hubbell Homes inventory? We're paying $1,000 if you sell a house by the end of the month. So at least it made our ears perk up and kind of take a second look at the inventory. Now that conversation would look a little bit different with my client, because at this stage with the law changes, I have had a specific conversation with a client before entering any home. Like, this is what I'm looking to be paid as your realtor. So then if the builder wanted to pay me an extra $1,000 on top of that, I would now have to call my client and say, hey, that house you decided to buy, the builder wants me to be paid extra. Are you okay with that? And that could be okay. I mean, I do have clients that really love me and would be like, sure, Rochelle, that's great. You got extra money. That's awesome. But it could just start to feel different. And we have to make sure those conversations are happening too, because that could be something we see where we just don't tell our clients. And now that's not allowed, because whatever you're being paid has to be disclosed to your client and in writing. So that conversation, I think, just starts to get a little weird when I call my client and say, oh, that house I talked you into buying, they're paying me extra. So
especially if you've never done it before, right? Talk about those first-time home buyers to maybe never gone through the process before. I'm sure that is just it's a learning curve for everyone anyway.
Right. You don't want that client left wondering, did she show us that house because she was being paid extra or...
But it's not illegal. At the end of the day,
it's not.
They can totally do it.
Yes.
But it's just...
The conversation looks different.
And
you need to make sure it's happening.
Right. How does a builder like myself, how do I ensure that conversation's happening? I really can't, can I?
I don't know. And I think if someone really thought they wanted to be paid a builder incentive because we had a client looking at new construction, it might be a conversation you want to have at the buyer consultation table. Like, hey, would love to show you and sell you new construction. Just so you know, sometimes builders like to incentivize us realtors to sell their houses. Are you okay if I make a builder incentive? And it would be good to know that answer prior to me showing them any specific builders. So yes, builders can still do it. I just think it changes the conversation. So therefore I'm going to show whatever product my clients want to see in whatever area of town and price range they want to be in.
There are some agents that I've talked to that said, okay, if you're going to offer a higher broker compensation, anything that's above our current agreement, I'm going to give back to the buyer. Like, that is totally within their realm too. Like, if we're offering that, and however they want to do it, because there's different realtors and how they do their different business is totally different. So there are options that it could go back to the buyer.
You could pass it back onto the buyer. Absolutely.
That's fair.
Interesting.
So it is a little. So as builders, we're always trying to figure out how do we get everybody's attention, because at the end of the day, Des Moines is a realtor-driven market. I mean, I would say over 90% of our sales have a buyer's agent in the process. Yeah. I don't know. Now that's down from where it was prior to the change, but not by a whole lot, I would say. So for us, we're always saying, what can we do to get in front of realtors to help increase that visibility and draw their attention?
I think you have to remind realtors and buyers that you are pro-realtor and that you're pro-buyer's agents, because now, due to the law, we have to make sure we have that compensation conversation with our buyers, and that there's the off chance that our buyers may have to pay us directly. However, when we find a builder that is pro-realtor, that builder is typically paying that compensation because you always have been.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to remind realtors and buyers is like, look, when buying this product, there's less stress on that buyer now to come up with that money. So when we sell your product, the buyer doesn't have to come up with my compensation, that it's already wrapped in the price, has been wrapped in that price for years. that's your standard of doing business. So I think we just really need to get the word out that you're pro realtor,
right,
and that you're pro paying the buyer's agent,
right. And it's not just Hubbell. There are other, a number of builders in our market that are very pro realtor, and have been pro realtor all along, and really supported and ensured that realtors got compensated for the work they do. Because at the end of the day, I think people don't always understand how much work a buyer's agent does put in.
Thank you.
I know.
We'll say it more than once on the podcast today.
It is not an easy job. I mean, because I think you're also part-time therapist, sometimes marriage counselor, sometimes
speakeasy owner. I mean, there's all sorts
of. Why you have the speakeasy, so you can go down there and hide and drink, and no one knows. Oh gosh. All right. So, do you think that builders should be further incentivizing buyers agents?
Gosh, I hope I don't make a lot of enemies here, but I think no, because again, and this, had to do with the creation of Zillow a long time ago, that our clients are seeing the property on the internet. Then they're engaging with a realtor to help them through the process. Depending on where my clients want to live, what age of home they want to live in, and what price range they want to be in is going to direct me to what to show them. I don't think one builder can maybe talk me in, incentivize me into buying their product over the others. I'd rather the buyer be incentivized. Like, blinds, like buy by the end of the month and you get a set of blinds, or buy by the end of the month and you get an extra tree for the backyard. Those are the kind of things that I think stand out, and that gives me a reason to call my clients too. For sure. Like if you do decide you wanted to write an offer on that Hubbell home, you might want to do it by the end of the month, because they're going to give you a free couple of trees for the backyard or something like that. Right.
I agree. Okay, is there anything else you wanted to cover on the buyer compensation? I kind of skipped through a bunch of things, but we got right into it right away.
Right, that's what we're here for. So,
yeah, I think there's some misconceptions about open houses and whether an agreement needs to be in place for the public to go to open houses, or buyers might be going to open houses and then that agent is putting a contract in front of them. And so you don't need to sign anything to visit open houses. So I know you guys still are hosting a lot of open houses, and it is safe for buyers to go to open houses and look around. You don't necessarily need a contract in place to just kind of go look around and shop around. So I still can encourage everybody to go out and view open houses.
That's great. Okay, so you also happen to be a specialist in 55 plus.
Well, I teach on it, yes.
You teach on it, but you have team members on your team who are quite good at it and kind of have a focus on that. Is that correct?
Well, I would say we're a relationship-based team, and so our customers are based on our relationship. So yes, I have everybody on my team from 30s to 60s, and so depending on who their relationships are, or sometimes, we're getting referred buyers because their parents want to live here because that's where the grandkids are. So we help all types of clients, and yes, that does mean it's either the 55 plus or 62 plus community for sure, which doesn't sound old anymore, by the way.
Right, because we're getting close to that. We're not
here to talk age today.
No, but okay, but let's talk the difference between what's a targeted 55 plus versus what's a restricted. What's the difference between those two?
So targeted, and correct me if I'm wrong too, but targeted, from what I understand, is that they're able to go after those 55 plus people and market to them, but you don't have to be 55 plus to do that. And then restricted means we are looking only for 55 plus buyers. And there's going to be a lot more restrictions on who else is able to live in the property or who's able to stay there long term, like adult children that want to come back and live. There's going to be different restrictions on those. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Okay. It does. And I think the one thing to keep in mind is you have to at least be 45. Like I think 10% in the restricted community, 10% can be below 55, but they still have that threshold of 45. So at the end of the day, I think it's really about targeting people who really aren't interested in the grandkids being in their pool every day or dealing with any of that. Like it is a lifestyle change to have people of your age group and your demographic.
So when you're looking to build in those types of communities, do you like the targeted or restricted?
Well, I interviewed a lot of, we have one coming up, right? Aventura at Holland Point in Norwalk. It's just across the street from Echo Valley Golf Course. I mean, beautiful location right off Beardsley. And I interviewed a number of realtors who've sold 55 plus products. And there are people in town who have product that is targeted. And every realtor I spoke to that sold a number of their homes said, you got to go restricted. And I said, tell me more.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And the reason is it feels misleading to those buyers who are 55 plus who move into that community. And then all of a sudden there's a younger woman who moves in with her 6-year-old. Totally can be there, but people are upset. And the realtors that I've spoken with have said there are much more problems with the targeted than there are with restricted. And we did a market study, so we hired a third party to come in and consultant and take a look at everything, and everything they've said is go restricted. You will have plenty of buyers in this space.
I can see that happening, and I'm gonna want to do this again in end of March when I teach the class again. But you've definitely kind of gotten in the trenches and done the research there, and I think that's an important conversation for sure.
Definitely.
Well, we've got a massive population in Iowa that is, well over 65 in the next, 5 years. And so that alone, I have some statistics on senior living, which that is not, but we had another group on earlier this week onto the podcast, and those are some of the statistics. It's just that aging population. And again, not ready for, say, a senior living environment by any means, but definitely want some of those parameters.
Right. Yeah. I look at my parents. My parents live in Sterling, Illinois. They are in their upper 70s, and their tax advisor said, you should move to Iowa.
Yeah.
Because of all the tax changes that have happened in Iowa, you're going to save so much more money from living in Illinois to going to Iowa. And I was like, I mean, that would be exciting to have my parents there. It really would. But at the end of the day, I think that we are going to see a silver wave. I don't know that it's going to be a tsunami, so to speak. But the more enticing we make it for seniors to live in Iowa, I think the better. And I think there's a lot of people who are looking to move back to Iowa to be closer to the grandkids and
closer, not live in the same community as.
Well, yeah, and they want to have their own lives too. So, in fact, I'm meeting some clients tonight that moved from Michigan to here. I've had a lot of clients who have no history in Iowa. They're only moving here because their children found jobs here and are now having grandchildren. So I am helping these empty nesters move into Iowa, and it's a first time that they're moving to Iowa. Or my parents moved to a townhome community in Cedar Rapids because they had a grandkid there, but they know no one. And these townhome or condo communities were an instant way for them to make friends, because I can't imagine making friends a lot later in life. I don't even know what that looks like because we didn't meet in school.
Yeah.
But these communities, my dad had instant friends, and I think he loved it because it was a whole new set of people to tell stories to, so they could all hear his stories.
They'd never heard him before.
They'd never heard his stories before. But those communities give them instant friends, and now my parents do have a life outside of their grandchild.
Yeah.
So what types of amenities or activities are they looking for in those types of communities?
Yeah, I think it's those active lifestyles. So especially the 55 plus, but we see a lot of that in the 62. They want the opportunity to socialize when they want to. And be active. So pickleball's popular. I remember visiting Aventura in West Des Moines in the winter, and they had made a pickleball court in the garage.
Yeah, the underground
garage. Because they wanted to play pickleball and still be warm. So I think they want to be active. So it's what is that community offering on the inside that they can do, but then also what is around it. Like you said, Echo Valley is going to be near the Norwalk development. So what can I do outside outside of my community where I don't have to drive to downtown Des Moines or spend 20 minutes in my car. Like what is around my community? And then that ability to lock and go, because they still might be snowbirds or wanting to leave or go on vacation because they're still at an age they can. How do I just lock the doors and walk away and not worry about things?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things we're exploring within our homeowners association is, okay, can we provide lock and leave service? I know Permar Security does that for certain individuals, but that's something that I think an amenity I would like to add to our portfolio.
Well, and I was talking in the sense that condos and townhomes are a little bit lock and go because I don't have to worry about the yard. I'm not watering the plants outside. Snow. I'm not worrying about snow removal. I'm not worried about who's going to mow my lawn when I'm out of town. So I just think a townhome or apartment condo is lock and go anyways because you're not worried about the outside anymore.
Fair. I was thinking about, do I need to change their filters? Do I need to check on their plants?
But I still think it's a nice thought, right? And I don't think everyone always realizes how much market studies and how much in-depth thinking goes into just what are we going to do in the next community? How are things going to be different from, say, Aventura out at Greenway Crossing just to what someone may experience down at Holland Point? I love both of those communities because they're surrounded by trails. Right. Like with the Elizabeth Holland Park and everything, you can just jump on a trail and go.
And that's what I'm curious to learn from you. What have you learned through the years that they wanted that you didn't know they wanted?
Well, the number one thing they want, a pool. They love their pool. And it's not necessarily about how big the pool is or being in the pool as much as it is, do I have room to lay out around the outside and drink or
socialize?
The socialization aspect. That's number one. And I think the indoor areas, being able to have places where they can play cards or get together and have their quilting group together, a variety of things that can happen in that clubhouse space. Pickleball is huge as well. Fastest growing sport in America. And so those are ones that we've incorporated into Aventura, Holland Point, and Norwalk. The other thing that we added, just because of its proximity, it's right across the street from Echo Valley Golf Course. So we've made our garages in every townhome. They're all townhomes, so they're detached and attached twin homes, and then detached villa houses. And we made the garages deeper so that you could have your golf cart parked in your garage, charging, and then take it out. You could take it across the street. There's a nice little crossing and I think the city of Norwalk's helping us out with that. Mm-hmm. And you could take that over to the golf course, or I think you can even take it up that trail right up to the draft house on the corner, and you can get a beer. Yeah.
Well, I think they're gonna just get it to go in circles and go visit their friends. It's a thing now where golf carts are being sold to people that don't play golf because it's just fun to go tootle around.
Right. I need to get a golf cart partner, don't I?
Yes. Yes.
I even have a golf cart on the farm.
Do you really?
We seriously do. Yeah. Zach's family didn't need it anymore, and they said, "Would you take that?" And I said, "Okay."
Is it a Gator or is it?
No, I am dead serious that it is a golf. It is a golf cart. I wish it was a Gator because you
could go
on a farm
more places.
It's my pumpkin transport.
There you go.
Seriously. So I know that's not how everyone else has used their golf carts, but that's how I use mine.
Okay.
I'm curious on the common misconceptions.
Yes.
If we could go there, just because again, 55 plus was relatively new here, 5-10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so how are we still educating people in that realm?
Yeah, some people think it is still some sort of, if we're talking 55 plus or 62 plus, that it's an institution or that there might be medical services. And sometimes we're not talking medical, there's no medical services.
Right.
This is truly for a lifestyle, not so much a medical decision. So I think those are some misconceptions. You have to study which stage you're at in life and which one you need. I think there's also that they're very expensive. And I think that's because people maybe are thinking of assisted living and things like that. And so it's really expensive to go live in a 55 plus community and not necessarily, or that there's maybe the lack of privacy. If you're selling the social aspect, Do I have to be concerned about my privacy? Like, are you going to be all up in my business?
Sharing walls after not sharing a wall for, so long. But there's just these.
I think you could see that more in the condo building than you could in the detached. I think you've got a little bit more space to separate.
Definitely.
And
well, I think your detached will be nice because it still gives them the ability to tinker around outside. So that's the other thing that I've found working with some more empty nester or retiring customers is that they thought, oh my gosh, I'm retired now. I don't have to do any more yard work. This is going to be great. No more yard work. And then they move into a townhome and they're like, I really miss tinkering in my yard. I really miss pulling weeds and watering and having flowers. So I think those detached townhomes that allow for a little bit of yard work is going to be great too and satisfy that need.
Especially if you're talking like someone who's gone maybe from a rural setting into an urban setting. I mean, that would be an adjustment there too. So I could see where that's coming in. Absolutely.
What do you think the most common misconceptions are, Rachel?
I think you nailed them.
Okay.
I really think that's it, that it's going to be really expensive. And it's not. At the end of the day, the HOA dues are the same as most other places. It all depends on the level of care and what each homeowners association has the right to decide. Do I have a 2-inch snow trigger or do I have a 3-inch? Because there is a level of price differential between those, or a 1-inch trigger. A 1-inch trigger, you're out a lot more. Or it's Iowa. There are some snows that we have and you get an inch, but it's going to be 50 degrees the next day and that snow is going to be gone. So do you really want them to come out that day knowing full well it's going to melt the next day? And we allow our homeowners to have a say in that. So I think that's an important part.
Well, and how do you both, in your conversations with potential buyers or people, who are just providing the feedback, how do you prepare them to ask those questions? Or, how do you handle those questions? Or how far should people really poke and prod before deciding to make that move into, say, HOA or just the community in general?
I think if I'm going to be your realtor, we're going to get pretty personal because I want to make sure you're making a great life choice. And so I'm really going to want to ask about their lifestyle now and what are your concerns about moving forward with aging or aging in place, or where do you see yourself in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years as we age? So I'm going to get pretty personal and that social side. Like, do you love being social? Are you missing some social stuff? Are you very active? Do you like to still go out and go for walks or hikes?
Your own self-assessment of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of have to. I don't know how to be your realtor and not get real personal.
You guys know all the dirt in town.
What I love is that we seem to find out pregnancies before most family members do, because they often call the realtor to go, we're pregnant. We need a bigger house.
Now, are you guys like lawyers that everything is confidential?
It has to be confidential.
There we go.
Yes.
All right.
I like that. I never thought about that, but that's pretty valid.
It's more confidential than your hairdresser, by the way. No offense to hairdressers.
I don't think your hairdresser signed a confidentiality contract.
Oh, no.
We technically, yes, have a confidentiality contract.
That's great. That's
I love
great.
that.
So what questions should potential buyers ask, like about rules and regulations when they're going in?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned it earlier, the rules on whether your grandchildren or adult children, how long they can visit for. Obviously, they can come and visit for maybe a weekend, but let's say a grandchild wants to live with you for the summer. There might be some rules around how long that child can stay. Pets, can I bring a pet, not bring a pet? How big? What about extra parking? So, I have an extra car or a sports car. Storage. I love the extra rooms to rent. Does the building or development have extra rooms for us to rent if we have more family coming into town? What do you think?
No,
what did I miss?
I think those are it, is really just understanding what you can and can't do. And also I think a misconception is that they're very restrictive. Like they're very follow the rules. Like if your garage door is open more than 15 minutes, you're going to get turned in and fined. And that is not the case. Okay. Our team, you can send in violations, and but it does take a little time to process. And I think we're from Iowa, right? We're going to have a conversation first. I'll never forget, we had an HOA, Claire, back when we were building in Florida.
Okay.
If you remember that.
I remember it. It was a little right before I joined the team, and I've been around 8 years now.
Building houses in Vero Beach, Florida, on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Loved Vero. And I'll never forget, Rick Tollickson, our CEO, was a board member on the Homeowners Association, and somebody was complaining at the meeting about, so-and-so has left their window screen out and it's been out on the ground. And Rick's like, well, I'm from Iowa. Did you knock on the door and tell them, hey, did you know your screen is out? Right. And it's on the ground? They're like, well, no. And he's like, just talk to them. They're your neighbor. It's okay. Yeah, it's so it
hold each other accountable a little bit. But yeah, I think that's all valid, and just again, that not knowing, that education. So it is nice to have someone on your on your side of the court, just to say, okay, here's some questions that I know we can ask, but what's important to you, and evaluating all of that.
Yeah, and we are going to want to read the fine print, and we write offers that allow us to dig into the financials a little bit. We want to make sure that HOA is financially sound and doing what they need to do to set money aside for that rainy day fund. So we are going to do some digging.
And that they're set appropriately. Yeah. I think that's the one thing I'm seeing where HOA dues, people are getting really low in HOA dues, but only to see that change in a couple years because they underpaid.
Yeah, if an HOA due is too small, that would be a cause for question for sure, because and a lot of these people are going to be on a fixed income because retirement, I know what I'm making every year now.
Yep.
So you don't want to get slapped with some $40,000 assessment because, everyone needs new roofs, and we didn't know we were all going to need new roofs someday. So that is extremely important.
Right. That's good. And I think the HOA plays a big role also in getting to know your HOA, just because if there are storms and everybody does need a new roof, how's that HOA, how have they handled that in the past? What kind of communication do they have with the community? How involved do they get? And hats off to Kimber Davis, who oversees HRC Association for Management, but she actually has a community advisor, and she started that program in a few pilot communities, and it has worked extremely well, where that person is their designated liaison, and they're like, we can help. Like, we want to help. We're communicating, and it has been just a wonderful thing. That's awesome. for the HRC team as well, just because they feel in the know, they feel connected, they don't feel alone, so to speak, and same for the homeowner. So that has been a good thing, and she's expanding that out across other communities. So having those relationships and working with the community is so important.
She's a fantastic Iowan and communicator too. That goes back to the heart of she will come over and tell you your screen is out.
And she's a GSD kind of girl. Do you know what that means? Mm-hmm. Get stuff done.
Oh,
yeah.
We can say shit, can't we?
Oh. You went there.
Oh, get shit done. That was a pre-approval for me coming on the podcast. I'm pretty
Sorry
sure.
out there.
No, I think that is completely true. And very, very thankful to have someone like that on our team. Absolutely.
And I think right now there's also some things people need. You got to ask about the financial viability of the area, because there are some that have gone under or maybe going into receivership, and that is something that you want to know. And so I like people to ask, okay, is this a local developer? Have they been in business for a long time?
Right.
Like, those are things that do matter and are mattering when times get a little tougher. Like, it hasn't been record-setting years the last couple of years. And being able to know that your builder's going to be here, that developer's going to be here, and that you're not going to go into a receivership. And what does that mean?
A builder that's been here through the recession, things like that. I know a few.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
Yes, it does.
I love just that localness. I think you know where to find them. You know where to be able to go, absolutely. Which it does go a long ways. It goes a long ways for a lot of people. What else, you guys? I mean, we're clipping away on our time. I knew you guys would. I knew you would.
I think it's good to talk to the neighbors. I tell my clients, go knock on the door on any buyers. I'm like, go knock on the neighbor's door.
55, regular, anywhere.
Yeah, because you'll get a lot of dirt. I mean, the neighbors love to give the dirt, but you'll also find out if your neighbors are crazy.
You didn't go there.
Well, but no, here's a good Aventura. Is it West Des Moines? Or
Yeah, West Des Moines.
West Des Moines. When I was doing an event there, somebody was telling me the story that a couple had bought after they attended a happy hour there.
Yes.
Well, you're going to get the best advice, and whether they love living there or don't love living there, the issues with the HOA. But they chose to buy right then and there after a few cocktails. I mean, hopefully we waited.
Legally, we waited, just so we're clear.
Until the next day to sign the contract. But yeah, that's the best way.
But a genuine conversation.
Talk to the neighbors. Go talk to the neighbors. And if they love living there, that's probably going to be your best research.
Yeah, 100%.
Good referral. Good testimonial right there. I love that. Well, what else about the housing market? Is there anything else on the 55 plus side? I know we've talked 55 plus, we've talked compensation conversation, which I thought that's just a good way to kind of put that, even though it's a little hard to say.
And that's and I feel bad for the listening audience.
No.
The whole realtor compensation and realtor changes, all of that is so fascinating to me. And so I love talking to like every broker that I try to go to coffee or lunch with different brokers every week. And so that is one of my main things I talk to them about, like, how are you navigating this? How are you talking about it with your agents? You know, what's happening in the marketplace? Because and what can we do? I mean, that is my number one thing is, hey, we're Hubbell. And it is, they will tell you exactly what they think and what their agents say. They will tell you everything. And it's been really good and I welcome it. And I'm really glad I've been doing it.
For asking the question, first of all. So that's great.
Yeah.
It's like a natural focus group.
It is. It's one-on-one and you get the good with the bad. So there's some really good things that come out of it. It's very positive.
Only way you grow.
That's right.
Only way you grow. Well, are there any upcoming events, specials, or exciting things in your world? I mean, it sounds like you have enough going on between the teaching and the side gigs and the
taking care of an acreage. Like, how many acres do you have? Like, a lot.
I have 50 acres, but it's fine. It's not that much work. But I also serve on several nonprofits, and they didn't ask me to say this.
Oh,
but
please! That's what we're here
I
for.
am going to plug Hubbell and their work in this community. They probably don't brag about it enough, but it's one of the other places that I see Rachel outside of our everyday jobs is specifically at Easter Seals. Mm-hmm. They do a lot for other organizations in the community, but the one I'm specifically involved in is Easter Seals. And Hubbell's been one of those dream come trues, and what they have done to help take care of our facilities and our property out there. And I do think it's important that we give business to the people who give back to our community. And Hubbell is one of those people who they've just made it their mission that we will give back. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that has been a huge focus of the Hubbells. It has been a huge focus of Rick Tollickson, and I know it's going to be a huge focus for Kyle Gamble. He said that he's going to carry on the extreme build, we're told, which I think is pretty exciting.
Yep.
It is important that the money stays here in Iowa. It's important that we reinvest it because we're not about just growing our business. We're about growing our community.
So true.
Yeah, and you'll never meet a nicer team and a nicer group of people up there really just dedicating their time to serving kids without disabilities.
Yeah. Easter Seals is amazing.
Of all ages. And I just think that it really, it goes a long ways. And I can say, because by the time this comes out, we'll be in the clear. We were just recently awarded a AGC, which is the Association of General Contractors of America, gave us a community impact award.
That's awesome.
For our recent extreme build up at On With Life for Homes of Hope. So that's
a great deal.
Just hitting the news desk, but it's really that was a team effort, and that's another one that's just a mile or two north of Easter Seals and does fantastic work, all for Iowans based here locally, Polk City, Ankeny.
Well, the white party's coming up. I'm hoping I'm in town for the white party.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going on an African safari that we won at the silent auction at the last white party.
Get out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was an accident, though. We didn't mean to get it.
What a happy accident.
Were you just bidding it up and then found out you...
We were bidding it up, and it was 90 minutes before the silent auction closed. And so we left a little early, didn't wait for it. And he's like, hey, tell me how much that went for. And I'm like, exactly what you put down, because we're going.
Congratulations.
We don't feel that bad for her, do we?
No, we don't.
She has to go on an African safari.
Donate it to us if you'd like.
No.
And yes, you gave the money to charity, so what a great reason to go on a safari.
It is. We're excited.
I love that. I love that very much. And Rachel, you're receiving an award. You've received?
Can we? It's not. No, it's
2 weeks from now, is it?
At the Builder Show next week.
Oh, okay.
It's just a lifetime delegate status with the National Association of Homebuilders. It means I have been there for most meetings, 2 of the 3 meetings each year for the last 10 years, and served as a delegate representing Greater Des Moines Homebuilders Association in the state of Iowa, and ensuring that our interests here are being met on the national stage. And so it's not a
I'd like
deal.
to say that it is a big deal, and that is something that we're very proud of, all of your efforts and your work that you do in the community, whether that's skilled trades, whether that's International Builder Show, NAHB, all of it. So very well deserved.
Yeah.
Very well. I had to. I'm sorry.
I know.
All right. Can we go to the off the rails section?
Let's do it.
I'm intrigued.
Anything else before we go on?
That's all I had.
I mean, I know we could talk housing for a very, very, very long time, but off the rails, here we go. Randomly generated just now, so I don't pre-populate.
Okay.
People like to say I do, I don't. What is something you can never seem to finish? Okay, that's funny because I cannot think of a few. What is something you can never seem to finish?
Well, I can always finish my dinner, my lunch, and my breakfast. No problem there. What can't I finish? I don't know. I get a new business idea every day, and so there's always little projects that I don't get done because I'm a person who's always starting something new.
And can I ask, as someone who also has an acreage, not 50 acres, but I'm 15, projects around the farm,
Yeah,
do those ever get finished?
Okay, yeah, things you don't get finished is taking down the trees or cutting the trees that need to be cut.
Or cleaning the,
My fiance is rolling his eyes because he's like, you don't do it that anyways. So, but there's always trees and always chainsaw.
Always a lawn to mow, always a project.
Always.
Rachel, what about you?
For me, it's laundry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't mind starting it, but I will forget about it because I'll get busy doing something else, and somebody will not be happy with me when he goes to do his laundry and mine's still in the dryer.
There she be.
Or it's still hanging up and not moved to the closet from the laundry room. So.
I'm bad about, I can finish my laundry, but is it finished if it's all put away?
That's what I say. Because
I
I
can't
just
put it away.
Putting it away is struggle for me.
I'm with you on that front. And then anything in the house. We have a 3-year-old, so that, it's just that's never always clean. It's just like one room's done and then the next room's destroyed. And that's where I'd say.
You've got give yourself some grace on this.
Oh, yeah. I'm not the OCD one of the family, so it doesn't bug me. I know who it bugs, though. Not me. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time.
What's the one that you don't?
What?
What's your thing that you never finish?
Acreage projects, books,
okay.
House cleaning, laundry. I mean, I'm stealing some from you
just
guys.
One.
But,
we just
I
needed
have
one
a list. I get sidetracked into the next thing. I'm with you on that. But thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules. It was fun having you on for the first time. Thanks for coming back and saying yes
I love
again.
Being here.
I just really, it was a little bit of a topic that was out of my, knowledge realm, but it's always fun to learn from the both of you.
You're going to have to learn it someday.
I know.
Either for your parents or for you someday.
It's true. That's true. I'm going to keep my
Rachel and I would know we've been going at this for 20 years now.
Yeah. Everything, it all changes. And it happens
As
to
we
you.
wear glasses, remember?
I know.
We didn't wear glasses when we first met.
And now we both have cheaters on.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
Good times.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Dig It, a real estate podcast. Produced by me, Claire Bramer. Audio editing and uploads by the ever-talented Amplified Des Moines team. And brought to you by Hubbell Realty Company. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this podcast with anyone who loves real estate just as much as we do by listening and sharing wherever you get your podcasts and watching on YouTube at Dig It. Have questions or topics you'd like us to dig into? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you.